Friends, today's story is emotional, heartwarming, and full of hope. It begins with a talented marine biologist who returns to her hometown for the holidays. After spending many years away, she has built a successful career studying the ocean, but deep inside her heart still carries the pain of a love she lost 10 years ago. When she unexpectedly runs into her former partner, old memories and emotions start to surface. The peaceful holiday suddenly turns into a journey of reflection, forgiveness, and rediscovery. As they spend time together, the spark that once connected them begins to return, but both must face the choices and mistakes that separated them in the past. The story beautifully explores how time, distance, and personal growth can change people, yet true feelings often remain the same. It shows that sometimes life gives a second chance to heal what was once broken. Filled with warmth, emotion, and quiet joy, this story reminds us that love can be rediscovered, even after years of 40 silence. So friends, let us begin the recap of this touching and inspiring tale of reunion and redemption. The movie begins as Juniper gives a speech on marine life. She is an effective speaker and stimulates the crowd with her charisma. After the speech, she is seen avoiding invitations to receptions or after parties. Despite her easygoing nature on stage, Juniper, let's call her June, prefers solitude. As she's leaving the building, she receives a call from her close friend, Candace. Candace tells her that the head of the rescue program in her facility quit, and then asks for June's help to rescue a stranded seal. June is excited to help tend to nature and forgoes her other Christmas holiday plans. During the call, it is revealed that June has history with Candace's brother named Sawyer. June dreads meeting Sawyer again after a fallout 10 years ago, but she's more inclined to help her friend. Interestingly, the cafe she enters as soon as she gets to town is the one where Sawyer happens to be. When she asks for a good cab recommendation, the owner tells her that if her destination is the Mystic Aquarium and Rehab Center, Sawyer will take her there on no charge. Sawyer's initial exchange with June is awkward to the point of pain, and the car ride is even worse. After Sawyer drops her off at the center, they part ways on sour note and with a huge sense of foreboding, because they discover that they will spend the coming days in close proximity and at Candace's place. June is excited to meet Candace and wants to get on the job as quickly as possible. But she stops in her tracks when she realizes that Candace also needs her to supervise 3 interns named Peter, Eric, and Teresa. June tells Candace that she is not cut out for mentorship, but Candace replies that she will do great. June spends the rest of the workday putting the interns at arm's length. She prefers animal company to human interactions with a few exceptions. As she and Candace go back home, they meet Sawyer helping Louisa, or Lou, who is Candace's daughter, with her assignment. Sawyer and June's interaction is weird, which is expected at this point, but June hits it off with Lou immediately as they share a love for a fantasy novel series. June is giving the keys to a detached apartment on the premises, where she will live until she leaves. At night, Sawyer brings June pizza as a welcome home gift. He intends for this to serve as an olive branch. June appreciates this. As he is leaving, she asks him to eat with her. As they eat, they slowly warm up and learn more about each other. Sawyer discovers that June travels around for Christmas, as though she is not tethered to a home. Sawyer mildly suggests that she should try visiting Mystic Town more often. June considers this. The rest of their conversation goes well, and they part on a better note than when they first met. The next day, at close of work, Sawyer drops some decorations off at Candace's office. Then he uses the opportunity to see June. He meets her while she is tidying things up with Peter. When they discover that she is unaware of the Mystic Boat Parade, Peter and Sawyer invite June to attend. She eventually agrees. At the event, Peter mixes up with his age group. Sawyer and June are forced to spend time together. It is safe to say that they unwittingly enjoy each other's company. Soon, June and Sawyer meet up with Candace and Lou. They partake in an art-inspired coloring event. Here, Lou lets it slip that Sawyer is altruistic to a fault and never does anything to please himself. June takes note of this. Later that night, the 4 of them gather around to decorate the Christmas tree in Candace's living room. The warm exchange between June and Sawyer is palpable. So when Lou and June go to bed, Candace tells her brother that she loves them both, but that he should remember that Candace never stays in the same place for long, and he never leaves his roots. In other words, she tells him to be careful. In the next scene, June makes an effort to connect with her interns. Peter had earlier told her that they would never judge her, and that instead, they look up to her. She heeds his advice and decides to get them snacks as an icebreaker. It works. The 3 interns, Peter, Teresa, and Eric, appreciate the gesture, and they all delve into an easy conversation. As June leaves the interns, she runs into Candace, who begs her to stand in for her at a meeting geared towards hosting a mystic Christmas Eve party. June agrees on the condition that she will just make a little speech. Turns out Ken, the owner of the cafe she first entered at the start of the movie and Teresa's father, is a very persuasive guy. June is stuck with the task of distributing flyers the next day and writing minutes at the next meeting. She tries to protest that she is staying at Mystic Town for only 1 week, but Ken will have none of it. Since June is inexperienced with these matters, Sawyer offers to assist her. She gladly accepts. The next day, he takes her around town showing her places, and they try new delicacies even as they do errands. The duo have a vividly nice time, and they get to know each other even better. When Sawyer asks where she would choose if she were forced to settle down in one place anywhere in the world, June jokes that she'll stay on the moon because she'll launch herself into outer space in protest of the coercion. But on a serious note, she says that she likes the idea of having a place to call home. Sawyer then asks if she would settle if persuaded by the right guy. June replies that the right guy won't ask, but that perhaps someday he will ask, and then she will settle. Sawyer, unwilling to end the conversation thread, asks her why not now, and she says that it's just not the right time. In the following days, Sawyer and June spend more quality time together. When the seal June is tasked with rescuing falls ill, Sawyer waits with her at the facility and gives her great support. He encourages her to mix up more with people, such as at a trivia tournament and at a lantern tour. And June is a quick study. She gets closer with her interns and learns more about their interests. One time, she encourages Eric to ask out the man of his dreams. Eric does, and the results are fantastic because Nick, his crush, likes him back. Sawyer soon learns that June will leave for South Africa the following week. Sawyer is not pleased with this news. When he asks her, June says that this was always the plan all along, even before Candace's call for help came in. She further informs him that she intends to leave the day after Christmas. She then looks him in the eye and tells him that the right guy will not ask her to stay, and so her stay in Mystic Town has always been temporary. Sawyer then confirms that the right guy can't ask her to stay, but he wishes to spend more time with her before she goes. They then agree to go on a date at the planetarium the next night. The following day, Candace and Sawyer are discussing on the phone when he tells her that he is going on a date with June. Candace tells him to not embark on a doomed love affair with her long-distance best friend. She wails that if things go wrong, it's going to be another decade before Mystic Town gets a whiff of June. When Sawyer asks his sister why she is so sure that his romantic endeavor with June will end badly, she tells him that it's because she's an expert on human nature, and further jokes that it is for this reason that she cannot read mysteries because she always knows who'd done it from the start. When Sawyer tries to counter by saying that neither him or June are dramatic, his sister exclaims that that's exactly the problem. In other words, both of them avoid confrontation, and eventually some miscommunication will come up and force them to retreat back into their shells like cowardly little mollusks. Sawyer rolls his eyes at his sister's exaggerations, and they lovingly end the call. In the next scene, we see the seal June has been taking care of fall even sicker than before. June has to take it to a lab on the other side of town, and so she shoots Sawyer a message, apologizing that she won't be able to make it for their date. Meanwhile, Sawyer at his end has made necessary arrangements and was pumped for their date. When he receives this message, he immediately deflates and is deeply saddened by the news. But he chooses to pretend that things are all right by replying with a thumbs-up emoji. The scene shifts back to June and her interns. They have gotten the test results of the lab and have discovered that it is an ear infection that causes the seal's fever spike. They are grateful for this knowledge because they can now use a focused antibiotic regimen, and they celebrate with cautious optimism. As soon as the seal is out of the woods, June checks her inbox and sees Sawyer's thumbs-up emoji. She senses that he is upset but practices avoidance, as she is unsure of how to handle the situation. Funnily, at different times, each protagonist asks Candace about the other. Although Candace is reluctant to get involved, she smiles at their cuteness. A moment of note is when June tells Candace that she is considering taking up the job Candace had offered her earlier at the Mystic Aquarium and Rehab Center. Candace is overjoyed by this and sets June up with Sawyer by asking June to stand in for her again at the planning meeting. June and Sawyer spend most of the time at the meeting avoiding each other, but by some fluke, they end up sitting side by side. Somehow they start talking, and both get a more rounded clarity on the situation. But shortly after they get into another fight, they then part ways. Hurt again. The highlight of their argument is that June tells Sawyer that he is afraid of doing things for himself and traveling the world like he wants to because he is afraid. She tells him that he is afraid that it might become clear that he is not needed in the lives of the people around him. Sawyer then retorts that June lives her life around seals and suitcases, not necessarily because she is introverted, but because she is terrified of becoming too attached. It seems the negative feelings expire quickly, as the two do not stay mad at each other for long. The family, consisting of Candace, Lou, June, and Sawyer, decide to make a Christmas tradition for themselves inspired by Iceland, where they buy a book for the person whose name they blindly pick from a designated bowl. Although Sawyer doesn't buy June a book, because it was Candace's name he picked, there is a meaningful exchange between the protagonists. June buys Sawyer a book with a symbolic meaning, and the two are forced to share a blanket because of Lou's antics. When Candace takes Lou to bed, Sawyer and June finally have the leeway to talk things out. They both apologize for the things said during their argument. Then June clarifies that the message she was trying to pass across him was that he doesn't have to be helpful to be loved, and that they all love him for who he is. Sawyer then makes a revelation that clarifies what made them fight all those years ago. He tells her that when she sent a heartfelt email to him, he thought he replied with an equally heartfelt message. But he just discovered the previous night that the message was saved as draft. Previously, he had accused her of ghosting him and didn't believe her when she said he didn't reply to her email. He profusely apologizes. She warmly accepts his apology and confesses that when she thought he ignored her email, she was heartbroken, but also relieved, because how could they reconcile their inclinations? She wants to travel the world, but he wants to stay in one place. Their conversation is interrupted by Candace, and they are forced to end it abruptly. Candace goes to bed that night, musing about how she wants to stay with Sawyer, but how she is terrified that they are doomed to fail. Eventually, June makes up her mind to stay in Mystic Town, not just for Sawyer, but because she is at home with Candace, Lou, Eric, Teresa, Peter, and the others. However, Sawyer wants to travel because it's something he has always wanted to do, and he voices that he also needs to trust his family and friends to love him just for being. A fast forward into the next Christmas holiday reveals that June and Sawyer make it work. June visits Sawyer at certain points in his travels, and eventually he comes back to Mystic Town to be with his family and his woman. His family and friends are excited to have him back. The movie concludes with our protagonists sharing a kiss.